My name is Kowsheek. I currently work at Adobe's 3D and Immersive Labs. Prior to joining Adobe through an acquisition in 2022, I served as head of technology and CTO at different startups. I'm sure you've seen a lot of technology and products from different vendors, which essentially bring screens closer and closer to your face. Of course, a new ecosystem of apps have been developed for these devices. But for those of you who have tried these, I wonder if you feel that you are in the future. Because to me, it feels like our approach for developing immersive technologies is based on one premise, which is that we should make more screens closer to our face. And because we can't escape them, we consider those experiences to be immersive. While it's true you can't forget yourself in the screens, I believe it's not really expanding human experience, and we're not more immersed in our environment. This is the history of human progress, is that when you build something, you build on the shoulder of giants, like the city of Sofia, for example, that was built over centuries, many civilizations. But in the case of 3D graphics, which is foundational to immersive technology, it is built on technology often built for visual effects, virtual production, and you may know some of the movies that have been built with that technology. So right here, there are 3 different movies. I'm sure a variety of technology was developed for each of these movies. So for example, when you make a new model, like a dinosaur, new technology is developed for that. When you make a new movie like Star Wars, new technology is developed for that. Same thing for any other movie you could think of. In this picture, like the flame in the background, probably was done through virtual production, and new technology was developed for this. And these form the bedrock of 3D graphics applications today. And essentially, since we have to keep building on this bedrock, the only solution we can think of based on these things that we've done for visual effects is to have more screens. Because virtual production is targeted to screens, it is what the natural evolution of 3D graphics seems to be. But it doesn't have to be this way. Because we're constrained today by the technology we have of 3D graphics, computer graphics. But I think we can do significantly better and radically different than all of these things. Because the more screens you have, like I mentioned, you're more removed from the environment, and you're not really experiencing and immersing yourself in the environment and the people around you. So what immersive could be is truly immersive of our environment. Imagine that you could be anywhere, not just visually, but physically. Imagine that your environment is always augmented with the technology you're using. And imagine the presence of others is felt, not just seen. So if you were to take some of these images I have on here, what is happening, right? So in the first image on the left, you will see, you're entering into a new world. If you've been a fan of Star Trek, you will see the idea of the holodeck, where you're able to simulate a full environment, but that environment is something you can engage in. It's not just a flat screen. There's much more to it than that. So in the holodeck in Star Trek, you're able to do many, many things. You're able to experience all human emotions and alien emotions. You're able to perform rituals that you may not be able to perform in real life. So that's one kind of experience where you're immersed completely. Another kind of experience on the top right here you can see is an augmentation of the real world, right? So this person is taking an Uber delivery, and they can see their direction through the immersed environment. It's a very common use case for augmented reality is that you get navigation through your city. But getting navigation is not enough. You really want direction. You want, hey, there's got a lot more traffic here. There's an accident here. Currently, if you were to do these things with things like Waze and Google Maps, you're having to look at your phone while you're driving, and that's a really kind of challenging task for a lot of us, and also it's a very risky task. So to avoid those things, immersive technology can really help, but creating a solution like that requires us to think everything from scratch about how do you bring the data in, how do you do mapping, how do you do screens, in this case a hologram. That is something that we have to invent essentially. Now, coming into the third one that you see here, in this case, this person is collaborating with their coworkers, but they're not there, right? They're not physically there per se, but their presence is felt. They're interacting in the same space as others. Today, there's, not that I know of, there's no technology today that can do something like this, where you are, in the same space with someone virtually, and you're collaborating on the same piece of content. So if you were to do this today, you would have to do it in a screen, something like a Miro board, something like a virtual headset. But this is not immersed because you are leaving your environment to go into a screen to do this, right? So I really think that these are the kind of things that we want to build. How do you build something like this? I don't know yet, but and that's the challenge here, that everything is to be built, right? So we have many things that we have to reinvent and put together, and I think that's a challenge. So what I follow, and this is based on conversations with my coworkers, my boss, who are visionaries, is that we want to give people more freedom, right? I believe that if immersive technology is not giving you freedom, it's not the right approach, right? The more freedom we can experiment with, the more freedom we have to explore, the more truly immersive things we can build, right? So if you're not constrained by, hey, these are things we did before, don't touch this, then you cannot build something with more freedom. It is the test that we use for our products, is when we build them, even though it's early days of immersive technology, is it creating more freedom for our users, right? So that there's no more screens and you're able to get closer and closer to your real environment and be immersed in. So if we build in this direction, I believe that eventually we'll be very much free from the screens, and we'll be able to build better solutions for the people around us and for the next few generations to come. But how do you get started? That's the question, right? So there's just so much technology out there with 3D graphics. How do you really start making a mark? So I recommend, rapid experimentation by building immersive experiences for yourself. So go find an app for augmented reality, experiment, learn how that works. Go build a web experience with 3D applications and see how that works. And building those immersive experiences, you will come to see that there are a lot of assumptions that are being made. Oh, this file format, you have to use this file format. Oh, this technology stack, you have to use this technology stack. Thank you for innovating and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Let's keep building with humans in focus, because that's what makes our lives better. And I think without keeping the human in the center of the conversation about any technology we build, we lose perspective and you start building for just the technology's sake and not for what the purpose of technology is, which is to serve humans and to make our lives better. So thank you for listening.